out with Paul and Jay, with red hot stories from post game, interviews, analysis, debate, the hour, fun here at the Growler.
All right, welcome into the latest edition of the Walkout. It's our training camp recaps. It is day 5 here. Paul Dehner Jr., Jay Morrison, inside the Bengals media room on the first day, Jay, of real training camp. First day in pads. Not like the old school days where you line them up on day 1 and it's Oklahoma drill time. It wasn't quite like that.
No.
Not those days are long, long gone, but still the physicality ratcheted up and a lot more physical day out there.
Yeah, well, they always say, that you put the pads on, it brings the thunder. Well, we had literal thunder today that moved everything indoors. Not ideal situation for the team or the fans in that regard. But yeah, there was some popping going on. There was no live periods. They weren't tackling to the ground, but it's been physical already, but it did go up another notch with the pads on today.
It did. And you mentioned it. It starts outside. It moves inside about half and half. Most of the team stuff, the majority of the team stuff happening inside. We didn't have a great view on the back end of practice. There was they went the other way and we weren't allowed to go down the sideline and everyone was kind of lined up offensively behind the plays. So anything that happened kind of in the last half hour is just a little bit of a shrug on that one, but we'll talk about what we did see and what we do know happened today and things that we heard. So let's start, Jay, with what's your takeaway to lead us off?
So it kind of piggybacks on what you said yesterday with the low red zone, how good the defense was. It continued today, but this was more about, I think, the offensive struggles. It was what was so unique about it is 3 times Joe Burrow targeted Shemar Chase in that red zone drill. 0 completions. One, he threw a little behind Shemar. Shemar got his hands on it, but dropped it. And the other ones just looked totally out of sync. You're not used to seeing that, not just in the red zone, anywhere. And even if you go back to the very first play of 11s when they were outside, the very first play, Joe threw to Shemar. Josh Newton, a great job with a PBU to knock it away. So it's kind of a weird day where things were disjointed because of the moving of the venue, but to see Joe and Shemar not on the same page, you don't see that every day.
You do not. It was odd. I remember thinking this was like seeing Halley's Comet or an eclipse or something. Like 3 plays in a row where they were off base, out of sync with each other. It's just not something that you ever see. My takeaway, Jay, from today was first day in pads. We said it. We're going to start judging the trenches. We're going to start making judgments in there. Hey, I don't know if this is good or bad because it goes both ways.
Yeah.
The defensive line was so disruptive.
Yes.
And really all of them, you could see them. Here's a name that was on my mind as I walked in today. I do these walk-in videos, and I got our good friend Mo Egger make an appearance in one today as I started one with him behind me. But I said, I'm curious about TJ Slanton today because this is like the least talked about big free agent signing that there's been. No one really even thinks about him, but this is like when the pads come on, the run game starts happening, needing to move the line. This is the type of player they've been missing. We've talked about how they don't have enough pass rushers up front, but they badly needed someone who can be just a big immovable force and give you that power up the middle. You felt him today. Yeah, I felt and you really threw a couple of days in the low red period we talked about yesterday. I felt you felt him. He really showed up, and that can be something that the type of thing that they certainly hoped they were adding when they quietly added TJ Slanton in the free agency period. I think you saw it today.
Yeah, I was talking to actually some guys in the locker room about him because he's almost like the mayor of the locker room. He's walking around talking to everybody. And I didn't get a chance to talk to TJ today, but I was talking to Ted about him. And I said, what kind of surprised me is I know you guys signed him to be this big run stopper in the middle, but it's like, that dude is explosive. And he's like, yeah, I could really use him to be 2 degrees less explosive because he is a lot to handle. And he does. I kind of noticed it yesterday when you see Shemar going through the position drills. And it's like, he doesn't look even as explosive as TJ does. And now Shemar hadn't had any kind of practice since December, January last year. But I'm with you. I think that he has been a surprise on many fronts.
Yeah. What do you got for your play today?
Well, I'm going to go back to yesterday. You packaged 3 together, or was that a couple days ago? You
Oh
packaged
yeah,
3
sure.
together?
We established there are no.
Yeah,
rules.
there's no rules. So a trifecta today from Shemar. Yesterday was a good day for Shemar just because he was here and he practiced. Today was a good day because he made statement plays, and the first one was a play where Jake Browning is rolling out, and Shemar gets his hands up and knocks the pass down. Great play. Very next play, Shemar breaks through again. It's one of those ones where the play's dead. There's really nothing happened. Jake Browning's backpedaling because he's just waiting for somebody to come open. And Shamar's got his hands up, just kind of like jogging toward him, like when you're coaching youth basketball and you're just trying to like make some sort of try to affect the little kid's shot somehow. You're not really trying to block it. You're just putting it up. Well, that's what Shemar was doing, and he still blocked it. Jake still threw it right into his left hand. And then a short time later, he busts through the line again, and he gets a tackle for loss. Tackle. They weren't taken to the ground, but he was there. He got his hands on the running back in the backfield, and we saw him today lining up at defensive tackle as well as edge. So they're kind of working him in more and more each day. I asked Zach about it before practice. He had a news conference, and he said it's going to be by feel. And he got a lot of reps today because the feel was he's making a difference.
Yeah, no, I was really surprised, to be honest. Like I guess you get so much caught up into how long it's going to take him to get there. You see just by raw athleticism, his length. I mean, when he's not even trying to have his hands up, at 6'5", and he's got those long arms, and it's just trying to throw over them, and the power that he has. I mean, they're working on that stuff, but you can see it just by his athleticism. Of his ability to affect plays. It did show up. I'm surprised to see that so quickly with multiple plays.
Right.
So an impressive day, a solid day too, I guess, for Shemar Stewart. Mine, I'm gonna kind of just like go a little bit outside. I noticed this if you follow on X, I put this video out. It was of Logan Wilson before practice started. He was right in front of us catching passes. He has done this for a long time. So maybe you knew this already or we've talked about it, but they're throwing deep balls down the sideline, and Logan is kind of doing the run it down and try to reach up and grab one. He had one he didn't get, but he gets up, he snags them. A guy who has 12 career interceptions in the regular season and playoffs, that's how that happens. He always makes sure he's doing that. He's doing that consistently. That's part of his routine. It's how he keeps his hands ready to go, so he knows he can make those. Those are not easy catches to make. And the fact that he's like, this is what I'm going to do with my time. I'm going to make sure I can. It just goes to show his work ethic that he's always had, and why he's kind of become a little bit of the player that he has.
Yeah, because it's a period. It's a special teams period, and there's so many linebackers on special teams that they're not doing position drills. He's just kind of by himself. I think he's the only linebacker that's not. Last year was him and Jermaine that weren't on special teams, but now it's just him. And so he could have just been sitting there taking it easy, but he's out there catching passes from Burrow and the other quarterbacks. And it's those little things that make him successful, why he's in this league, why he is playing as long as he has. And who knows, maybe it makes a difference when he's got a chance to run a ball down as for an interception at some point in the season.
Yeah. What do you got to wrap us up for a thing they say?
So we were talking to Demetrius Knight after practice, and this is the second time I've heard a linebacker say the Santa Clara standard. And Santa Clara, of course, is where the Super Bowl is this year. And so Dan Horde followed up and said, who coined that phrase? We're hearing it. Who coined it? And Demetrius said, that's our DC, Al Golden, our guru, the man, the myth, the legend. Has never been a DC in the NFL at all, and he's already a guru and a man, a myth, a legend. But it just shows you kind of the connection he has. And Demetrius, he knew he wasn't even a Bengal yet. He said Al Golden, day one, set that as kind of the tone, the moniker, the whatever you want to say, the motivational phrase. And he's like, it's got a nice ring to it. And then day one, when their rookies arrive, they make sure we know that is it again. And they've got it. I don't know if it's on a wall, but it's posted and it's talked about a lot. And I just thought it was interesting that, he's a rookie, but he's already putting his DC in very high rarefied air.
Hey, I appreciate have very high goals. If you fall short of them, maybe you still did good. Because I'd say, how about 16th standard? Would be where I would go. 16th defense overall. How about that?
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. Like
Yeah.
I think most Bengals fans would say Santa Clara standard. That sounds great. How about the 16th best defense standard? Go with that one. You know, everybody. It's like, look, I hear you, and so far so good though.
Yeah.
Like I gotta say, we are not going to we're not going to take the bait. We're not going to do the early in camp broad brush, but it's better than the alternative.
Yeah.
Where you didn't think there would be any days, and we talked about this after day one, where you didn't think there'd be any days where the offense would struggle against this defense when you consider the continuity and the talent on one side and what is expected on the other side. But we're seeing it now multiple days, multiple sessions, red zone, low red, day one. Like defense is winning. That's surprising when you consider what they're up against. Let's see what thing they say. Mine came from cornerbacks coach Chuck Burks he was talking specifically about DJ Turner, but I think this kind of applies to a lot of these cornerbacks. And it was flashes aren't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about the young corners on this team and the flashes that you've seen from them. And I appreciate hearing him saying flashes aren't good enough because they need so much more from those guys now. Those guys have been too often on the roller coaster of up and down. And I think that's got to be the message of the winners of those battles. And we discussed some of the struggles that DJ Turner has had in moments yesterday are going to be the ones where they're more than flashes, where it is about consistency and the more often that they can do it and avoid some of the problems, because it just has been that. And so you saw one today, Cam Taylor-Britt has a play where he's in the slot and just runs off the wrong way, not recognizing what the pass off or whatever the rules were supposed to be on the play, wide open guy up in the slant. That's the stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the stuff that loses you jobs. That's the stuff that has been problematic and really frustrating for the coaching staff with a lot of these young guys is those things. Cam Taylor, that shouldn't still be happening to Cam Taylor-Britt. And so that's the type of stuff that they need to get cleaned up, and flashes are no longer good enough. I like that from Chuck Burks today. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Bigger picture conversations about what's going on with the Bengals. Myself and Jay on PD&J. Mo will join us. I'm gonna bring you something I tweeted today. Jermaine Burton's towel really was something I had not, after what I'm in 15 seasons here, first time I think I'd ever seen this, of what looked like a full beach towel hanging off the back of a man. We'll discuss that and more with Mo on PD&J tomorrow. So make sure you have that locked. Make sure thanks to everybody that's watching us on YouTube. Keep that subscribe and get the alerts, because you can know when we're posting these every day. Bengals are off tomorrow, and then they'll be back Wednesday and Thursday. We're in the 2-on, 1-off portion of the program. So Wednesday and Thursday, they will be back. The pads are on now, the full evaluation. But as Zach Taylor said right behind us today, you are kind of really starting to get down. The meat and potatoes have arrived a little bit, and we can really start making some evaluations about what's going on out there. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching and for listening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.